Hey, sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to B-Ball Breakdown and our post-game live show after that debacle in Golden State, where the Spurs came to visit the Golden State Warriors and got hammered. The game was over in the third quarter. I kind of have one eye on the Charlotte-Sacramento game because there's only 1.1 seconds left in overtime and it's tied. Do you want a quick look into that? Let's share the screen and we can all kind of quickly see what's happening here. It's not going to be real smooth, I don't think, but you could at least get a handle on sort of what it looks like here. But yeah, let's do a quick live look in like they do on NBA TV real quick. So what do we have here? The Charlotte Hornets. Will Rondo be able to give them enough defensive presence here to stop a shot here with the tide? It's not as clear they need a three. So there's a box formation for Charlotte. And they're going to inbound it to Lynn, who's going to be the passer in. And, oh, no call, huh? Interesting. Okay, I think we're going to be in a double overtime. So that was sort of interesting. I'm not sure that's exactly what they would have wanted, but hey. So let's talk briefly before we get into some questions first. And don't forget, if you have questions you want to ask me directly about this game or pretty much anything in the NBA, I'll be free to answer them. Use the hashtag BBallShow, and I will call them up in a couple minutes here, and we'll start answering some questions. So first off, I also want to make sure that if you saw my breakdown of the David Blatt firing, it's certainly kind of gotten around the world at this point, and it's been pretty exciting to see the reaction. But we had an awesome podcast this morning with Brian Geltzeiler of the SiriusXM, and that went over really well, and Brian had some even more insight, and he's a little bit more of an insider with interesting information. So if you haven't checked that out, you should, and then certainly you should check out our mobile app if you haven't, because it's got all of our amazing articles, which you should read every day. We have multiple articles a day. Our editor-in-chief, Jesse Blanchard, has been kicking some serious butt, generating some incredible content, and all of our writers have been fantastic, so definitely check that out there. Plus, you have all of our podcasts and all of our videos all in one spot. And our videos will not have any shout outs or any kind of advertising that I put in there in the beginning. So you're going to have clean videos on our mobile app all the time and the website. So definitely download it there and check it out. Everyone's been freaking out pretty much about the app. I don't think I've heard one bad thing, and all I've heard is just amazing stuff. Because remember, you can also do your own GIFs. You can do your own texts. You can add your own polls if you like, and it's been incredible how many people are flocking there and having an even higher level of conversation. And I'm in there too, and you can message me. So definitely check that out. Well, let's go to our screen share real quick, and let's answer some questions while we start off. Usually is a great way to get me warmed up. So let's share with everybody our screen, and I have it scroll down here. I believe the first one here is by G. Fittich, who asks, will this be the Warriors' first loss at home this season? I think this was asked before the the game started, and clearly not. The Warriors came out. I thought that Steph Curry had unusually high energy, and which is rare for him because he's already got great energy, but it was definitely higher than normal. They were all kind of amped up. And I thought that showed in a lot of the sloppiness, and everyone was going a little too fast. But if they're going to be allowed to play that fast, then without question, that's the Warriors' benefit. Now let's move over to Salvador Moon hates his life and needs some help. So please, if anybody wants to give him some good, self-help tips, feel free to email it or to tweet him here at his address. Life is short. Enjoy it while you got it. As long as you are, I believe the song it says, any day above ground is a good day. Aiden asks, do you think the Spurs should play Boban more, both in this game and against other teams? I like Boban. He is a little slow up and down, but once he gets into the half court, he has good feet and can make up for that. And he's got, not like quickness, but he can move. So I think he should play. I don't know what he's playing right now, but, I would say he should play 10 minutes a game and give them a couple blocks and some rebounds, and even he can pass a little bit and shoot. So I love him. I think he's great. We're going to do a breakdown of Boban at some point, so stay tuned for that. And then Aiden asks, is it just me or Boban terrible at all at ball screens? Yeah, that's certainly an issue. And then they bring him out high and ball screen him to death. But he can get back, and he does hustle. You like that. My man Dexter asks, what adjustments does Pop have to make? Well, the genius of Pop is that he didn't start Duncan, so now they got a built-in thing where the other players can say, well, hey, we didn't have our full strength. Duncan would not have mattered because you're talking about Steph Curry doing the damage from way out there. I don't think Duncan would have done anything different for that part of the game. Now, on the other side of the floor, David West, I thought, did pretty well. So I'm not so sure how much more Duncan would have done either. But the adjustments are, I don't know. You're going to have to do something to disrupt Steph Curry. And if that is like take a hard foul or two or try to get him out of his head, that might be the only thing you can do. When they double team him hard on the pick and rolls, he's hitting Draymond Green on short rolls, and we'll show some of that with our video coverage soon. It's a tall order without question. So let me go on to see if we have a couple more questions here. Can my dreaded Knicks make the playoffs? Absolutely. Every time I keep watching the Knicks, they look good to me. I don't know why they're losing some of these games they're losing, but they have enough talent now with what they added, and I think they have enough to certainly make the playoffs for sure. I'm not sure how much noise they're going to make, probably not much, but it's certainly going to be a step in the right direction for them. Speaking strictly in terms of offense, my man Jim is asking, are you taking MJ or this season's Curry? That's a great question. Might even turn off screen sharing to talk to the camera about that one. I don't think we've seen a guy with this much effect on the game. It's certainly in the offensive end since Michael Jordan. I don't care what you want to look at as far as Tracy McGrady or even LeBron James or Kobe. This is a whole other animal, and it's that one motion shot that Steph Curry uses, which allows him 40-foot range minimum, probably farther than that. And, as soon as he's stepping in the half court, maybe earlier, you have to be on him. We have never seen anything like that in my lifetime, and I don't think before that either. And so this is what you have to really consider as far as what you want to consider like dominator, who's the most. Michael did dominate it infinitely better or more on the defensive end, so I would still give it to him. And the ferocity that he played with not only emboldened his teammates but scared the other team. Steph isn't like that, but certainly Steph demoralizes the other team and nails those shots where you just don't know what you're supposed to do. And you could see it in his eyes. He came out and wanted to make a big statement. They all did. And I think that speaks volumes. So, Steph Curry easily is going to have to be considered in the all-time greats, in the top 3 of all time, I would imagine, if he continues to do this for regular career length. So great question, Jim. Let's see. We got a couple more here. Let's see here. Johnny Walker asks, what happened? I'm so confused now. Well, Steph happened, basically. And when you're talking about, Steph lighting it up and you get some separation, the other team, the Spurs start to press. They start to hurry. They were way too fast all game. And I think it spoke more to like the intensity they brought to the game. They were all so into it in a regular season January game, which is amazing. But it was just a little too fast. I thought LaMarcus Aldridge was too fast for him for sure. And he wasn't handling it as well. And they're going to get into a racetrack match. It's going to be the Warriors' favor, especially at home. Warriors hit their offense above the three-point line, which gives them better spacing. Yeah, I mean, they set it above the 3-point line and in the corners too. And when they got the motion going, they were out-Spursing the Spurs. They were running Spurs plays like the Spurs like to run, and they were doing it better than the Spurs in theory. They have a little bit more shooting, and it makes it really, really hard because then you cut to the basket. You saw some back cutting that was beautiful. It was a real troubling thing. So the Spurs are going to have to slow it down. They're going to have to muck it up, get more physical. And when you talk about that kind of adjustment, then that's when Tim Duncan becomes in play here, and they're going to need him. I know that it would be an amazing 7-game series. It would be amazing, and it has to happen. They have to be 1-2 so we can get to the Western Conference Finals. None of this first-round stuff that happened last year with the Spurs and the Clippers. So just fascinating stuff. Let's go to some live clips from the video, shall we? I got some stuff queued up here. Let me screen share our video here and call it up here. So let me get my plays. So here was the first play we had here was the Warriors love to run this weave that ultimately results in a ball screen for Klay Thompson. And so it starts with a quick handoff from Steph Curry to, let's see, Draymond to Harrison Barnes. And then watch, as Harrison Barnes is coming up the pitch, we already have Bogut coming up to the headhunt and screen. And there's the screen. Now, this is pretty well contained. I like this. But you do have, and you have West on Clay. West does a foolish thing by trying to reach in. I don't think he's going to do that well reaching it against Clay. He gets a step, and then boom, a nice little lob because LaMarcus Aldridge had to step up. Or I'm sorry, Kawhi had to step up a little bit. Did very nicely, but you can't stop that. Just beautiful basketball. Later on in the quarter, we have, let's see here, a turnover by the Spurs. So another one of those examples of, the game was just going too fast for them. That was an easy pass that should not have been turned over like that. And then you're in trouble. Now you're on the road against the Warriors, and they're running. And then just watch this beautiful, just behind the back on two guys, easy peasy off the glass, with nice touch. Just beautiful stuff. And that gets the crowd going. Once the crowd going at Oracle, it's just a huge advantage. And that's part of the thing with Steph Curry when he plays to the crowd is he knows when he gets them out of their seats, it becomes almost impossible to win there. Let's move. Okay, so here's a really beautiful play out of a timeout, I believe it was. It was a timeout. It might have been in the first. So here's an interesting thing. So we're going to get an elevator for Clay eventually. For Steph. So Steph hits. This is sort of what we call blind pig action when you hit the big man cutting it up to the weak side, and then we cut behind him. But they actually do an X in front of the big. This is sort of a high post split in a way up on top. This is a very old play where the passer to the high post screens. Here comes Clay around. So now watch. This is the special sauce because Bogut swings it. We have Draymond looking like he's setting a back screen, right, which I really like, but it turns into a quick curl, and then boom, through the elevator doors. Now, Tony Parker opted to go all the way around, which is probably the mistake. Then again, he tries to go in the middle. He's going to get crunched. Very tough to defend either way with that kind of motion. And it's a nice step out, easy shot, boom. I mean, it's just beautiful. That's coach's porn when we talk about it right there. Let's go to our next play, which is, let's see here. Oh, just to give you an idea of the kind of effort you see from Steph Curry on defense, watch this coming down. Steph Curry gets matched up with Kawhi right here, if you can see this. And he immediately fronts. I love this. He holds position, and he goes right after that ball and tips it, and then it ultimately becomes a turnover on the Spurs. So Curry was everywhere, really making some serious plays. Beautiful stuff. Our last play of the first half will be at least it'll be finally a Spurs highlight here. On the out-of-bounds play, the baseline. And by the way, if you missed our breakdown of the Spurs baseline out-of-bounds plays, we did a really nice one this morning showing how many layups they get off of that. And the Spurs are also no strangers to running good offense out of the baseline. So here's what's going on. It's kind of hard to see because the telecast usually screws up and doesn't give us this angle until it's too late. But here it was. David West sets a screen coming around for Ginobili. Now we have two players, Ezeli and Iggy didn't really communicate. They both go to the ball, and the other problem is that the Barbosa should be over here, but he's really concerned with the dive at the basket on the weak side, and it goes right to David West. Nice pass, nice dunk, but a little too late at the end of the first quarter. So that was there. So I have been able to offer you a little bit of our insight into my thoughts in the game. Let me go through some notes here and give you some other ideas here. Patty Mills, the way he was guarding Steph Curry, I think is the way you have to do it. And he still got scored on, but he was picking him up full court. He was being aggressive. He was being physical. Those are the things you got to do to hopefully maybe wear him down. And we should see, you can't really ask Tony Parker to do that as much, but you got to get, Patty Mills in there to do that and, try and find other guys like Jonathan Simmons. They tried to do it. Didn't really work as much in this one because it got out of hand so early, but that's sort of part of the game plan. Let's see here. Let's go to some more questions, shall we? Let's see what else we have here, because then we're going to go quarter by quarter through some of the stats and check that out as soon as the scores are ready from NBA's website here. Usually you have to wait a little bit until you can get it. Let me refresh and see if they're ready. While we're doing that, let's go to some questions. All righty, let's present this to everybody. All right, back to the questions. You know what we should do, though? I think we should tweet this out right one more time. And do me a favor, retweet this. Let all your friends know. Let's get a bigger party in this into this live post-game show. We've got a heck of a lot of people in here right now. Let's get some more. Why not? All righty. So now we have, did we answer this question? New Orleans with their offense? Yes. So we have to now remember I left off at the forever purple and gold. All righty. So now we have TWB asks, Curry is 27, Clay is 25, Green is 25. Wow. I can only imagine. Is this the next dynasty? Could they win 68 like the Bulls? Absolutely they can, and they're going to be favorites until they break this up or until they get a little too old. But there's no question they've got at least, I would say, 5 years of this run if they can make it happen. And we've seen the Bulls did it, but they did have a Michael Jordan retirement in the middle of that, which might have given him some extra life. I don't know if Michael would have been able to make it for 8 straight years. But either way, yeah, they're going to be the prohibitive favorites every year they play when this core is intact. Kozart asks, are the Spurs suffering from matchup issues, or was this just an issue of execution? I think it was a lot of things. I think it was speed of the game, which could, sort of indicate matchup issues. Certainly, if they had Tim Duncan, they probably would have been able to go down low to him when they needed to try and slow the game down. Because as a result, we did see some evidence of, guys just dropping the ball and turning it over left and right. It was really not a good look. And it's also not going to happen again. I don't think you'd see the Spurs turn the ball over that many times like they did. So I think part of it is not having Duncan. It certainly is a thing. But if they can't slow them down enough, it's going to look like that a little bit more, every game. Eliza asks, Coach, what do you think can stop the Warriors in 7 games? Well, it would have been these guys, but I don't know. I have some doubts now watching what this is. So we'll have to see what the next matchup is between these guys and if they can do anything. But then again, I wouldn't be surprised if Coach Pop does something again and benches another player like Kawhi. Jeffrey Kang asks, is Curry a better offensive player than Kobe? Well, I guess we're talking about Kobe's prime. I kind of think so. I mean, Kobe was a really great bad shot maker in his prime. When you throw in the 3-point shots Curry can make, he's a better bad shot maker than or a better shot maker overall with all those extra points. So, I would say Curry, yeah. And then you throw in the threat of Curry passing, which, was never as much of a threat with Kobe. I don't know how you guard him. Forever Purple and Gold. Spurs do not play off post hitters, which is why their offense dies. Yeah, they kind of got sucked into the whole perimeter game. I saw some Kawhi ISOs, which is, I know they're doing that more, and he's pretty good at it, but it just seemed a little bit weird. We didn't see a lot of the good stuff from the Spurs. In fact, all the good stuff we would normally see from the Spurs, the darn Warriors were running, the same exact offense. Michael Zhu asks, Barnes played pretty bad tonight, and Dub still dominated. I thought this game was too fast for LaMarcus Aldridge, and I thought it was too fast for Harrison Barnes. Both those guys are having trouble keeping up with the pace, and it showed. Do I think Barnes? I think Barnes is going to get signed to an offer sheet. I believe he's restricted, right? Someone might correct me on that. And I think that they're going to match. The salary cap's going to go up, and they'll be able to afford it. Nail Baiza asks, what is the main key to actually stopping the Warriors, especially on offense? You're going to have to try and deny a pass or two. You have to force them. Now, and by the way, they're prepared for that. But if you can at least get them from going into their initial and just playing catch with each other, their initial attack, you have a chance. I would almost think that maybe some sort of a little bit of a press might help to slow them down, make them take some more time off. I'm talking about like a 2-2-1 or something that's really passive, that just simply makes them take time off and slows it down. That's what you got to get into. And then you have to be really impeccable on your own offensive end. You have to be able to score against them to slow it down or to control the pace and to have them play against your set defense. 96 Bulls versus the Warriors, who wins and why? I just have a hard time ever picking against a team that has Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. I really do. I would think that they would match up well enough defensively to cause enough problems to win those games. Can you put Blake at center? I guess you're talking about Blake Griffin. Absolutely. I love that lineup. And first we got to get Blake on the court. Let's go Warrior. Master Ampharos asks, have the Warriors proven they are the best team in the NBA? Hands down, by far, they are the best team in the NBA and one of the best teams we've ever seen ever. I mean, I went to 30 some of the 41 home games of the 72-10 Bulls. I don't think I've seen anything, this is different. This could be better. Coach, what do you think your chances are of the Lakers having 4 players in the Rising Stars game? I think it's pretty good. They should, right? They should have Randall, Clarkson, and Who am I missing? I guess it's Randall Clarkson and Russell. I mean, I suppose they should be in there. And then you got to talk about maybe like Larry Nance Jr., who I think has been playing better than anybody on that team. So, yeah, I think it's conceivable. I don't know when they announce it, but for sure. Can you do a breakdown of Steph's floater? I suppose I could. You know, I mean, his floater seems to be, you know, like everyone else's, but I'll look at it, Mike. John Paul asks, should the Spurs consider any change in personnel? I'm not even sure. It's a question that's kind of moot because they've almost, I don't think they've ever really done a midseason acquisition of a player. So I don't know. Now, are they going to kind of panic or freak and think, this is a problem and maybe they have to? I doubt it. I think they're going to keep working and develop their players and get Simmons better and, you know, continue to keep those guys healthy and get Duncan back in there. And then they're going to, you know, they're going to throw it out there and see what happens. Miguel asks, after tonight's game, which team do you believe has or will be the best matchup for the Warriors? Well, I still think it's the Spurs, and that's it. You know, you know, maybe even like maybe does Indiana possibly have somebody that could guard him, but that's kind of moot because I don't think Indiana's going to make it out of the East. And as far as the West goes, I just don't see anybody really being able to do it. There's not enough individually good defenders. I can't picture on any other team right now that could do it. Spurs were playing very sloppy today, which is very unlike themselves. What causes? Well, like I mentioned before, Tyler, I think it was the pace. Both teams were amped up and really raring to go, and I think that they let that pace get to them. They're going too fast and too excited, and they'll calm down the next time when they're in San Antonio for sure, and that we won't have some of those same issues. You know what? We should give some love to our YouTubers who are posting a ton of comments along YouTube. Let's see here if we can share that screen and see if there's anything. Now, sometimes they get a little bit rowdy over here, but let's see what we got here. Let's kind of quickly glance over and see what we got. If you lock down Curry, Warriors got other players in the system and teamwork that will still compete. Good point. I don't know if there's any questions here. Let's see here. Oh, and then what happened with the Kings? Oh, the Kings are up by 2 with 11.9 seconds to go in double overtime. Should we go to that possession? Who's got the ball? That's the next question. Well, you know what? I'll cut to that in 1 second. Let's just see if we have any other things. Yeah, Boogie did go crazy, 50-some points. So it looks like they're doing some review of something. Oh, look at that. Willie Cauley signed with a good block. Are there any questions, people, in the comments of YouTube? I'm looking for some question marks. Coach Nick, worst loss, Cavs or Spurs? Ooh, that's a really good question. I don't know. I would probably say that this might have been a worse loss. Oh, let's quickly go to the game, can we? Let's stop. Oh, boy. Let's see if I can get there in time. Oh, I don't believe that. I think they just scored. Let's go back. I can go back. Here we go. So, inbounds play, down by 2. A little pin down. Oh, my goodness gracious. I wish I could find that. A three-pointer to go up by 1. That's ballsy. That's definitely like one of those things when you're on the road in double overtime. You say, heck, throw it up. Daniels. I don't know Daniels. Is that the guy that played in Houston last year as a shooter? Troy Daniels? If that's the case, then, yeah, you're not surprised. A nice rub-off by Frank Kaminsky. You know, Collison gets there. But, man, he just nails it. You got to tip your cap to that. That's a serious shot there. That might have been a little travel, too, but, hey, boom. Well, now we got plenty of time here for Sacramento to get a shot off. Let's see what happens here. Oh, my goodness. I wasn't presenting that to everyone. I really don't like when they do that. I'm sorry. I'll show you the play real quick. Forgive me for that. Here it is. So there's Daniels. Gets a pin down from Frank Kaminsky over here. Collison's there. Splash. Beautiful stuff. And here it is again. This might be the travel. He kind of stepped, hops, another step, boom. But give it to him. He hits it. All right, let's see. Are we caught up here? Who's with me here? We're getting a live look here. We still have the timeout left. Let's see here. Sacramento only needs 2 points to win the game. I'm assuming they're going to go to Boogie here if he's still in the game. And this is craziness. Let's tweet this out. I guess people can't watch this unless you have League Pass, so this will be a nice, exclusive look for you. All right, here we go. So now we got 3 across with 1 on the block. Rondo inbounding, and it looks like Boogie must have fouled out because he's not in there. They're going to probably, yeah, here comes Collison through. Oh, they're going to bring him way out and make it 4-on-4. Interesting. Oh, this kind of fell apart. Oh, wow. Well, there you have it. That was very exciting. Almost did it, but I don't know if I like that play. I'm not sure what the original intent of that play was, but it didn't look that exciting to me. Let's go and see if we have our box score up on the. It's got to be up in the stats by now, doesn't it? For the NBA TVs. What I like about them is you can. It's not up yet. With the box score on NBA's thing, you can go by quarter, which I like to do. So we'll see. Oh, is that up yet? No, not yet. Okay. Well, we went through most of our clips. I think we have a couple more clips from this game I can go through. So let's jump over there, and we'll get some more questions, and then we'll wrap it up. So here we go. All right, so now we're back. Let me get my list here. We're back into the third quarter. Oh, sorry, we're in the second quarter now. Which play is this? Okay. So this is the problem we had when Kawhi Leonard started to double team in the post when they were trying to exploit Tony Parker, because if you look at the matchup here, they put Kawhi on Livingston, Danny Green on Clay. That means that Tony Parker has to guard Iggy, and he's giving up 6 inches. So here's the problem: when you have Kawhi guarding a man right next to the basket, next to the block here, it's not, if he goes to double and no one else knows, bam, it's a dunk. So it's not, you really can't double. And it looked like Parker was sort of in a good position there to kind of defend anyway. They didn't need to double. If you are going to double, you better scream. I said, on the tweet, so you better scream fire and let, Boris has to know to sink down, or David West. Doesn't happen. It's a dunk. And then it happens right away again on the next play where, okay, I get it. They're going to try and attack. Oh, this time it was Draymond on Parker on a switch. So Kawhi thinks, oh, I better hurry up. But remember, look how far away he is at this point. He's still a far low post position, and Tony was okay. There was no need to really go attack him there, and they come from the outside, so it allows Draymond to turn over his strong left shoulder. And again, didn't yell it out, didn't tell anybody. Boris would have been the guy who would have just stopped there. Let Iggy go out and get a three, or close out on him for a three. You got to protect the basket. And boom, there it is, another dunk. Those are some mistakes they're going to have to go over, and that's another adjustment, by the way, that the Spurs are going to have to figure out when they do that. Those cross matches, and Parker has to guard somebody bigger. They're going to have to figure out a better way of rotating to double. Now we move into the middle of the second quarter, and here's one of these backdoor beauty. Okay, so this is my favorite. I love when you see a player, especially a shooter, set an off-ball screen. That's how you get him open. But watch what happens here. They feed the post. So now you have Parker on Klay Thompson. And he's going to do what they usually do, but it's a little bit off on the spacing. Normally this screen is closer to the elbow, and then you have a shooter coming around that. Instead it was Livingston. So here it's an automatic. After he does that screen for the shooter coming around, he cuts back door. And for some reason they did call switch, but Danny Green was late. It was a perfect pass, perfect release. And they can't get anything, that they can't stop that. Just beautiful, beautiful offense. A little bit later in the second, we have, let's see here. Oh, I know. This is the one that got Greg Popovich up in arms. On the fast break off of a turnover, after a wild shot by Slow-Mo, you see here, nobody picks the ball up. Okay, now Danny Green is worried about Klay Thompson. This is what Klay Thompson's, gravity does. So he doesn't want to go to the ball, although he would have been the choice to have to do it. But this is what happens when you have a 4-on-3. But you got to stop the ball, and that would have been Aldridge needed to see it then. It didn't. And look, he gets right to the basket and the dunk. That just can't happen against a good, with a good team against a good defense. And then later on we have okay, this is an amazing play. The Vine went viral. Keep your eye on Steph Curry here. He'll do a V cut and he sticks his hand out, a little bit of a fake here as a backdoor cut. He breaks Kawhi's ankles without the ball. I don't think I've ever seen anyone do this, especially against the best defender in the NBA. He actually breaks his ankles on a V cut, then shot fake gets him in the air again, and then instead of going, he sees Aldridge coming over very nicely to help, and he just does a sidestep long two. I mean, just drops it. I mean, that's just incredible. That's hardly any words for that. This is the loops. Now, this is now Tony Parker's play for the Spurs, but the Warriors run it. And it's after a zipper cut by Iggy, you're going to get Curry running around 3 screens along the baseline. Now, the Spurs switch it every time. So Kawhi switches it here to Simmons, and then Simmons switches it here, and then Manu's on it. They know how to guard this, and that's perfect, right? And they're now in perfect position, right? Well, they now slide into pick and roll action on top here. Oh, I know. Yeah. So this is probably sort of freelance where Draymond's just going to set a pin down for Klay. And remember, Klay is the shooter. They're going to be careful, really concerned about it. So Kawhi switches and Simmons doesn't get the memo, and boom. It's just beautiful. I want to see if we can play this in real time. It might be a little choppy, but still you can see it. Just perfect. Beautiful. I mean, I can't get over just how good they are and how good they are at their second, third, and fourth options once the first is taken over. They've worked on that, and they're great at it. Now we go to, Curry was just having fun at this point, lighting him up in the third quarter. And he comes around, he gets Aldridge on him, and he's just going to ISO. And then little one-footed runner, blam. I mean, he's just playing with them. And then, we see this. And then our next clip is, and at this point, you can't fall asleep on Curry. You got to pick him up at the circle. And instead, as soon as I saw, you can see David West was standing still below the top of the key line. It was over. Steph is going to pull 4 feet behind the line and just nail it. And you call this a nail, I suppose it was. It put them up by almost by 20 points, and the game was over by then. So just sickening offense display by Steph Curry. Really impressive stuff. So let me see here. Is the box score ready? If it's not, I might have to punt on this one. I mean, there's not much to go through. We know after there it is. I think it's ready, guys. Let's pull it over here. Let's, yep. Oh, yeah, we got it. Let me share it, and we'll go quickly through a couple of the quarters and see what they did here with where. So let me present to everybody. All righty. So here we go. So if you don't know about this, the NBA stats side, it's the stats.nba.com side that has these great box scores with a gear here that you can click on. And let's close that out. And then you can see the whole box score. So let me see if I can't get this all the way down here. All right. Close enough. All right. So now we can go first period. Let's see what happens. Run it. So let's see here. For the Spurs in the first quarter, the leading scorer ended up being David West, doing a nice, impersonation of Tim Duncan. 6 points, 2 rebounds, and then you had 5 points by Parker, who looked active, and Kawhi Leonard had 4. But you could already see the first quarter, the Warriors were up by 3, up by 6. 29 points was already too many points to give up in a quarter. And then who was doing the damage here? A couple people. You had Klay Thompson with 8 without a three-pointer. He was getting free throws. I'm sorry. No, he wasn't. How do you have 4 points? Well, that's interesting. He had 2 field goals. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the plus minus. Oh, I totally screwed that up. It was all Steph Curry. 15 points. 5 for 8 from the floor, 3 for 4 from 3. He came out on fire, really ready to push the pace, at different speed than everybody else, and that was the key here. Everyone else kind of filled in nicely, but 15 points, 2 assists. So you're talking about 19 of the 29 points. He had a direct hand in, 3 steals. Just an amazing dominant performance in that first quarter, and you kind of were already wondering if this was going to be a short game. In the second quarter, they also went off for 33 points. The Spurs only had 24, so they extended their lead. And again, in that second quarter, let's look here. David West again had 6 more points, and he did very nicely inside. That's sort of the game plan, but it was a little too late, and everyone else would have had a smattering of points across here. But then you look here in the second quarter. Shaun Livingston comes in and starts really going down low and attacking the little guards he had on him, like Tony Parker. Shaun Livingston's the X factor as well. He gives them such an advantage off the bench. It's silly. And anybody that wants to try and take away Steph and take away Klay and use their better defenders, maybe bigger defenders on them, when they put Livingston in and he has a smaller guy on him, he's going to kill them. and it's not going to be pretty for the other team. So it's really, he's the guy that I feel like most coaches don't have an answer for. We moved to the third period, and this is pretty much it. This is when they went on there. They outscored it by 14, and that put the game away. And again, we're going to see, an 18 more points by Steph Curry. It's just insane. 3 for 5 from 3, 5 for 9 overall. He made 5 of 5 from the free throw line, and 2 more steals. So just an all-around dominant performance that really everyone fed off of, and the game was over. Pretty crazy stuff going on there. Well, let's go to one more time through our questions on Twitter and see what we have there, and then we'll wrap it up. But this has been an amazing show, all-time high for people, this year by far. Well over 700 people, so fantastic, and really, hopefully, we'll do this again. We'll keep doing this a lot more, and we will get some more questions right now. Let's see here. Let's get to our new results. Last year, Steve Kerr, let's see, Eliezer asks, last year Steve Kerr wanted David Blatt on his staff. Is Kerr going to pick up Blatt to join the Warriors? I would not be surprised if David Blatt ends up in Golden State maybe sometime this year on their bench. That said, he might just want to take some time off to relax. But if he's still into it, I would not be surprised if they invited him. They don't have a huge staff, and he would definitely fit in. Zane Shaw asks, Manu called it. He said it's just one game. If the Spurs win by 30 or the Warriors win by 30, it's just one game. It is just one game, and we'll have to see what happens in the next game. Because you're right, will Steph Curry be that hot again? Probably not. And they will have a good game at one of these times they match up, hopefully in the playoffs, lots of times. You're right, Greg Gregorio. That was the real game, and we did go to it. We saw some of it. Crazy. What do you think of Godzingis, and what do you think the Knicks need to do to become a true contender? The Knicks still need probably 2 more players, 2 more really legit players to blend in and play with them. But I think Porzingis is just a great player, and he's going to get better and better. Terrific pickup. We did a breakdown of him just not that long ago. He's incredible. Really great choice. Probably they lucked into him, but man, that's some serious skill he's got. He's going to he's just going to be really good. Him and Towns. This is going to be a terrific matchup for the next 10, 12 years. Daniel asks, I think the Spurs should work more of the screener's defender on helping the guy that is defending the cutter. They have to work on everything, especially certainly the cutters. And then they have to work on those rotations a little bit better. When you saw Kawhi doubling and they weren't talking, that's part of the issue. Gregorio asks, Sixers question, if you had to trade Noel or OK4, who would you choose? Oh, boy, I don't know. I like them both. I might like Noel better than Okafor. So I guess maybe I would trade Okafor if I could. And then, that's obviously Embiid's going to be okay. Tough one. Michael Wilkins Jr. asks, do you think San Antonio's defense was uncharacteristic, or did Golden State exploit some flaws in their defense? I think it was uncharacteristic to some degree. But I think that Golden State, when they play like that, exposes everyone's flaws in a hurry. So, and I think the bigger issue might have been the Spurs offense, believe it or not. Those bad turnovers led to some of the runouts, got the crowd into it, and that's really where you got to worry about. If that didn't happen, they probably are in the game a lot longer. Mike asks, if you could choose anyone in the NBA to stop Curry, who would it be and why? Well, geez, I would have said Kawhi in any day now. But probably Butler. I love to see Jimmy Butler just, put some clamps on him. Danish Sumar asks, who else can compete with the Warriors? I don't see Cleveland, Chicago, Clippers, Houston, Toronto with a chance. I don't even know if OKC could. I don't think they're disciplined enough on defense either, to handle that. Sacramento, it's interesting. I don't know. I'm going to get some eyeballs on Sacramento and see what's going on there. Mark asks, if the next 3 Warriors versus Spurs games go this way, could that turn the tide for Draymond versus Kawhi? It's interesting because in theory, if they go the same way they just did, then it's more of an offensive thing benefiting, I don't know. I guess the argument then is Kawhi's been getting lit up by Curry, and that would knock down his Defensive Player of the Year voting. Possibly. Those votes are strange. It's kind of hard to really predict what those mean and how they get decided. So I don't know. It's a tough one. Well, listen, sports fans, it's getting a little late. Even here in the West Coast. So no, you guys are on the East Coast are kind of sleepy unless you're international. Either way, I can't thank you enough for joining us. Again, let's take care of some business. We have the mobile app. You should go and download it. Look up B-Ball Breakdown under the iPhone or Droid stores. People are literally, I swear, they're freaking out. They're tweeting me every day talking about how amazing the app is. And you got to get in there. I mean, you can post your own content, and it exists in this amazing environment where I get to interact. You can interact. You can talk to other fans you might not have known existed, and they can weigh in on polls and GIFs or GIFs, texts, messages to me, anything you like. It's amazing. It really is. So definitely download that, please, and download it today or tomorrow. Also, we had this great breakdown of David Blatt when he got and the reasons for him getting fired. It's some really interesting stuff there. I suggest you check it out if you haven't. Plus the baseline on the bounds breakdown we did today on the Warriors. We will do a breakdown of this game, as quickly as I can tomorrow. So keep your eyes open for that. We have a lot of stuff coming up, some amazing content coming up. We got a really good In the Film Room, I hope, coming up this week. It looks like it's on the book, so you're going to stay tuned. It'll be our biggest guest yet. And I'll give you a hint, it's a starter in the NBA. It's going to come on the show, and we're going to break down a bunch of his plays. So if you haven't seen In the Film Room yet, looking through our queue, you'll see us do a couple really good ones with Spencer Dinwiddie of the Pistons and Lamar Patterson of the Hawks. But we got a guy who's a starter who's going to come on the show. So stay tuned for that this week. Our podcasts have also been fantastic. I mean, we're getting great guests. I had Brian Geltzeiler today of the SiriusXM NBA channel, SiriusXM Radio. Come on. We have some other, big names coming up as well. I'm working on it. So make sure you listen to that on iTunes or Stitcher, or you can definitely just listen to it on our app. It's amazing. So thanks for joining us, sports fans. Great stuff all. And don't forget, at B-Ball Breakdown, we're not a channel, we're a conversation. You in?